Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down House of the Dragon. With Season 2 now at an end, I thought we'd look forward to Season 3. HBO confirmed its release after the Season 2 premiere, and rough estimates put its release at 2026. However, the wait might not feel as long, as we have A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms releasing at some point next year. That's currently in production, with a first look at the show getting released by HBO. I do feel like some of the stuff in Daemon's vision will tie into that, and we've done a full video breaking down everything that's in it. For this video though, I want to talk about what's around the corner and where I think things will be going for Season 3. Obviously, heavy spoilers ahead, so if you don't want it ruined, then I recommend you turn off now. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed, and make sure you subscribe for our breakdowns on the Penguin and June Prophecy. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into House of the Dragon. Okay, so we ended the season with a lot of teasers towards the future. A lot of things are going down at sea, with the first major event being the capture of the Gay Bannon. Carrying 2 Targaryen princes, it's currently on its way to Pentos. However, this is surrounded by the Triarchy, and Prince Aegon and Prince Viserys are put into peril. Aegon manages to escape on his dragon Stormcloud, which was the boys' first and last time flying it. Pelted with arrows and a scorpion bolt through its neck, it valiantly carried the prince back to Dragonstone. Here it crashed down, with the prince said to be shivering like a leaf and drenched in urine. Stormcloud then died within the hour, and Aegon told of the fleet. Now Viserys wasn't as lucky as his brother, and his dragon egg hadn't hatched yet, so he had to remain on the ship, but he tried to hide amongst the crew. Stealing some clothes and a hat to cover his hair, he pretended to be one of the ship boys. Unfortunately, another ship boy snitched on him, and thus he was captured by the fleet. Anyway, the pieces fell into place for the Battle of the Gullet, with a Triarchy ship sailing there and surprising Corlys's navy. Dragons swooped in to help where they could, and they provided air support. This cavalry was made up of Jace, Ulf, Hugh, and Nettles, with the latter being who Rhaenyra's been moulded into in the show. When Prince Jacaerys swept upon a line of Lycian galleys on Vermax, a rain of spear and arrows rose up to meet him. The sailors of the Triarchy had faced dragons before whilst warring against Prince Daemon in the Stepstones. No man could fault their courage. They were prepared to meet Dragonflame with such weapons as they had. Kill the rider, and the dragon will depart, their captains and commanders had told them. One ship took fire, and then another. Still, the men of the free cities fought on, until a shout rang out, and they looked up to see more winged shapes coming around the Dragon Mount and turning towards them. The work then said, "It is one thing to face a dragon, another to face 5. As Silverwing, Sheepstealer, Seasmoke, and Vermithor descended on them, the men of the Triarchy felt their courage desert them. The line of warships shattered, as one galley after another turned away. The dragons fell like thunderbolts, spitting balls of fire, blue and orange, red and gold, each brighter than the next. Ship after ship burst asunder or was consumed by the flames. Screaming men leapt into the sea, shrouded in fire. Tall columns of black smoke rose up from the water. All seemed lost. All was lost." Now the Triarchy was ready for them though, and after taking down Stormcloud, they knew how to beat a dragon with ease. This then led to the death of Jace, with them pelting Vermax with arrows and bolts. Vermax crashed into the sea, and Jace leapt from his back and tried to clutch onto some of the burning wreckage. As he attempted to climb up though, the archers spotted him. It's said that Jacaerys Velaryon leapt free and clung to a piece of smoking wreckage for a few heartbeats, until some crossbowmen on the nearest Myra ship began loosing quarrels at him. The prince was struck once, and then again. More and more Myram brought crossbows to bear. Finally, one quarrel took him through the neck, and Jace was swallowed by the sea. Now Vermax is said to have been killed much in the same way that Meraxes was. This is the dragon's skull that Rhaenyra's been spotted in front of throughout the season, foreshadowing the fall of her son. The book even mentions how similar it was, which I think this series is setting up. So yeah, big death of a character coming, with Rhaenyra losing her heir, and second very strong son. Now, the naval battle as a whole was seen as a major disaster, with it being labelled the bloodiest sea battle in history. 28 ships limped home, with the widows of the Tyrosh accusing the higher-ups of sending their fleets to destruction. They led to the end of the Triarchy, in which the three cities all turned against each other. In the book, this is known as the Daughters' War, but it tells us that that's outside the scope of the tale. Now as for Otto, I do feel like he's going to be beheaded at the start of Season 3. In the work, this was done after Rhaenyra took King's Landing, but due to the change here, I think they might be altering it. He could even be blamed for one of the failings of the battles, but yeah, his fate's kinda still up in the air. Now, how Rhaenyra gets in has kind of been fleshed out in the show. The book tells us that she waits until Aemon and Criston are attempting to occupy Harrenhal, and she arrives at King's Landing to liberate it. In the season, we've seen how she sent gifts of food, promised the bastards acceptance if they can claim a dragon, and so on and so forth. Now the season ended with Alicent saying that she'd pretty much roll out the green carpet for her. Whether Rhaenyra even needs this or not though is another thing entirely. Alicent has pretty much told her the cities is hers for the taking, so once the key players are no longer there, it should be pretty easy. So I think Rhaenyra is going to do this, and it also means that she won't have to spare Aegon or even Helaena. In the work at this point, Aegon had fled, which Larys and him were doing in the finale. As for Helaena, she's caught during the seizure, and she's locked up in Maegor's holdfast. According to the work, her remaining son's then killed and his head sent to her. Rhaenyra is said to have mocked her in the work, but I doubt they'll bring this into the show. It's propaganda, it's bloody propaganda. Support the Greens. Either way, the grief of losing another child sends Helaena off the deep end, and she's said to have thrown herself out the window in her holding room. Landing on the spikes below, she was impaled and died at the age of 21. Now, there are some theories that say she was pushed, so we'll see what way the show takes things. Either way, Alicent cursed Rhaenyra for this in the work, and Rhaenyra of course ended up on the throne. I believe this is what we saw in Daemon's vision, and it also explains why Helaena was present there too. Now Helaena visiting Daemon like this of course reflects the throne room scene from earlier in the season. There it was Aemon, with the two fates being closely linked. Alicent and Helaena have been prophets that have told them of their fates, with them both saying they were gonna die in the God's Eye. Alicent said it to Daemon at the Weirwood Tree overlooking it, and Helaena said it to Aemon at the Red Keep. I feel like their battle may be what ends Season 3, though it is sort of more likely that it'll be teased for Season 4. Either way, Daemon goes out of the tree where he awaits the coming of Aemond. On the 14th day of the Prince's Vigil, a shadow swept over the castle, blacker than any passing cloud. All the birds in the God's Wood took to the air in fright, and a hot wind whipped the fallen leaves across the yard. Vhagar had come at last, and on her back rode the one-eyed Prince Aemon Targaryen, clad in night-black armor chased with gold. Alice was also with him, and the work says that she had a baby in her belly. Their words, not mine, and I wonder if Aemon tries to use his sister's foresight in Season 3, as he's now aware she can see things. However, I don't feel like she's going to help him, and he may instead turn to Alice. She'd be able to help with the future stuff, and it could add to why the characters get closer. Either way, when it comes to the battle, the work tells us Prince Daemon took Caraxes up swiftly, lashing him with a steel-tipped whip until they disappeared into a bank of clouds. Vhagar, the older and much larger, was also slower, made ponderous by her very size, and ascended more gradually, in ever-widening circles that took her and her rider out over the waters of the God's Eye. The hour was late, the sun was close to setting, and the lake was calm, its surface glimmering like a sheet of beaten copper. Up and up she soared, searching for Caraxes as Alice Rivers watched from atop the Kingspire Tower and Harrenhal below. Now then says of the battle, and it was then the tale tells us that Prince Daemon Targaryen swung a leg over his saddle and leapt from one dragon to the other. In his hand was Darksister, the sword of Queen Visenya. As Aemon One Eye looked up in terror, fumbling with the chains that bound him to his saddle, Daemon ripped off his nephew's helm and drove the sword down into his blind eye, so hard the point came out the back of the young prince's throat. Half a heartbeat later, the dragon struck the lake, sending up a gout of water that was said to have been as tall as Kingspire Tower. It's said that neither man could have survived this, and I believe this crashing into a body of water is something we saw in Daemon's visions. Caraxes crawled up onto the shore before dying, and the other three were never seen again. Aemon and Vhagar were found, but Daemon's body never was. I've talked about it a lot, but I believed he survived it, and the work hinted that he ran away with Nettles. He may just run away with his daughter, not like that, and raise her away from all the war and bloodshed. But you know what them Targaryens are like. Now speaking of bloodshed, I also think we're going to get the Battle of the Fork next time, but this might be one of those off-screen battles. You know the kind, mate. At the end of the episode, we saw the Lannister army marching forth and know that the Starks crossed the Twins. This leads to a battle at the Red Fork, which is another massive one for the war. Now, we know that the Battle of the Gullet was saved for Season 3 because of budgetary reasons. The creative team have come out and confirmed this, so I feel like it might be another Battle of the Burning Mill. It's one of those plot-wise that doesn't quite carry the same weight as something like Rook's Rest, so I feel like they may just touch upon it off screen. This is because, again, they're gonna need a lot of money to show it kicking off in King's Landing after Rhaenyra ends up taking it. Like I said before, it's going to be really easy too, but things aren't all sunshine and rainbows and hitting the thumbs up. The civil unrest continues, and it's stirred up by a character known as the Shepherd. Described as looking like a pale ghost, he's known for his missing hand and also his long beard. It's possible that we saw his origin story in Season 2, and yeah, I'm gonna become the Shepherd. Now the Shepherd says that the dragons are demons and the dragon pit is stormed. Known as the storming of the dragon pit, Captain Obvious, this saw the death of several of the creatures. It also included the death of Joffrey, and the seeds were clearly being sown in Season 2. However, it wasn't an easy win for the people, and scores of riders were burned alive and eaten by the beasts. Imagine, right, the dragon pit scene from Season 2 on steroids. This scene includes Helena's dragon Dreamfire, which so far hasn't been in the show. Now as for the Greens, Helena stayed behind, but this also led to her downfall. Locked in Maegor's holdfast, she was kept prisoner in the keep. There she stayed until learning some devastating news. That was that her son, Maelor, had been killed. It was said that Rhaenyra apparently laughed upon hearing this and sent hers head in a chamber pot. Whether that happened or whether it was a rumour is something the book doesn't clarify, but either way it pushes Helena to breaking point. She ends up throwing herself over the balcony and she fell to her death landing on the spikes below. I feel like this is something that will probably happen at the end of the series, with the storming of the dragon pit being how it culminates. Rhaenyra ended up fleeing the kingdom, which I think would be a good way to end things. We could have the season opening with her taking the kingdom and then the season closing out with her losing the throne. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. You know, if you're familiar with the book, how you think they're going to pace it, and also what you think's going to happen in the season. Hopefully we get more than 8 episodes, because that last finale episode felt like episode 8 in a 10 episode season. Give them the money. I'll also let you know in 2 years if you were right or not, and huge thank you for sitting through the video. Please drop a like on it, and if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. We get early access to videos every week, and it goes a massive way towards helping us out. If you want to get some heavy spoilers merch, we've also got our t-shirts linked on screen right now, including our House of the Dragon ones for greens and blacks, and also our Dragons Drama and Destiny one. If you want something else to watch, then definitely check out our breakdown of Daemon's Visions, which goes over everything in them and where we think they're gonna go. If not, then well, thanks for sitting through this video anyway, and I hope to see you on the next one. I've been Paul, you've been the best, I hope you have a great week, and yeah, take care of yourself, mate.